Beryl Hennigh is a descendant of Adam and Elizabeth Legler, Swiss immigrants who left Switzerland in the 1840s and were on the ocean for about a month. They entered the USA at New Orleans and came up the Mississippi River to St. Louis and ultimately out to Franklin County, Missouri, the area of Beaufort, B-E-A-U-F-O-R-T. Adam was in the Westport area of Kansas City for a while and worked at the stockyards. One of the things he did there was carry slaughtered animals up and down stairs, which would be very hard on the shoulders of the men that had to do this. So he and Elizabeth walked out to Merriam, Kansas to the Turkey Creek area, and they traded beads and trinkets to the Indians for marsh reeds out of Turkey Creek. And then the women wove mats, and those mats were used on the shoulders of the men to carry those animals up and down. All modern people remember the stockyards as being a very smelly place, very unpleasant. Finally, shortly after that, he and 2 or 3 friends walked to the Lenexa area at 95th and Quivira area. That at one time was called David Duff Road and also called Legler Road and also called Schlegel Road before it became Quivira Road, which is what it is today. Adam served on the school board in the early days. He was a general farmer. He built the Legler Barn Museum as a farm barn at 95th and Quivira on the northwest corner in the area of where World Savings and Loan is today. That was taken down in 1972 and stored for 11 years. Then the Historical Society was formed and raised $100,000 to pay for restoring that building as a museum in the city's Sarcopar Trails Park at 14907 West 87th Street Parkway. The story goes that Adam traded calves, cabbages, and other vegetables to the Indians on 103rd and Metcalf area on the Indian Creek down there for walnut timbers to put between the ground floor of the barn and the haymow. Unfortunately, none of those walnut timbers were available for the restoration of the barn. The barn, when restored, is 11 foot longer than it was with a few alterations, but pretty much looks like it did out in that area, and it housed cattle and horses. They would have had the pig barn across 95th Street to the south, away from the other buildings, because of fire, we're told. It's the reason they did not put the buildings all together. Adam's children were Margaret, Fred, Henry. He had 2 Davids. The first one died at an early age, Louisa, and another one named Minrod, who died early on in the St. Louis area, or maybe even on board ship coming over. Margaret was 4 years old when they came from Switzerland, and she married William Sitterman, who was a big raiser of Percheron horses around 95th and Schweitzer Road. Beryl is a descendant of David Legler, the second David, who they chose to have 2 children with the same name, and Clarence Herbert Legler, her father. The early Leglers were members of Salem Lutheran Church because the sermons were given in German, which was what Adam understood. And some of the early papers was not able to sign his name. So about enough of that.
So did your family pass down any written records, or was this all?
My brother has a few original records. I have copies, and as far as bringing anything, I could bring a picture of Adam and Elizabeth. There is a picture that belonged to Adam and them out at the barn. That picture with the feet on it. But we unfortunately don't have not much. I've got one antique walnut table, but that would not be anything to bring, I don't think.
Last one's Judy.
Well, I ought to have you do it.